moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Ski.
And I am Ria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago, good morning Trinidad, those of you viewing in the Caribbean, those of you on the live, good Monday morning to you. Julian, how are you doing today?
Yes, indeed. It's a beautiful Monday morning, and we continue to give God thanks. An eventful, interesting weekend, but we'll chat about that a little bit later on. At this point, viewers, we head straight on into our news in 90 seconds.
The news in 90 seconds is brought to you by Flow, working for you on Tobago's newest fiber network.
Thank you, Julian and Ria. I am Candice Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Monday, 17th July 2023, brought to you by Flow. Sparker Taylor Miller won the Recycled Waste segment of the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality 2023. The first part of the competition took place last Friday. All 7 contestants were tested on their abilities to create statement fashion pieces using natural recyclable materials innovatively. Sparker Taylor Miller hails from Castara and impressed the judges the most. She was followed in second place by Melinda Alfred of Delicious Dance Agency and Dejel Kwashi of Golden Lane. The final part of the competition takes place on Friday, 21st July 2023 at the Shore Park Cultural Complex. And to some sad news, the lead architect of the Scarborough Redevelopment Project and cricketer Joshua Stewart has passed. Stewart played an integral role in conducting the feasibility study for the project alongside international experts. He was also instrumental in designing the master plan for the initiative. And moving on, 4 workers from the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services were charged with stealing food cards. This came out of an investigation into the disappearance of 32 food cards in 2022 worth over $117,000. While the investigation was ongoing, the 4 were sent on administrative leave in October. Meanwhile, the 5th perpetrator took an early retirement in order to escape the charges. And finally, the Ministry of Education denounced the actions taken by some government schools to inflict exorbitant school fees on new students. This action is not in accordance with the government's free education policy. As such, principals were asked to desist from this practice with immediate effect. It applies to all government and government-assisted ECE primary and secondary schools. And that was the news in 90 seconds.
The news in 90 seconds is brought to you by Flow, working for you on Tobago's newest fiber network.
Tobago, after freeness is more speed and better TV. Get a free Samsung smartphone and free installation, plus 200 megabits per second, Paramount Plus, and more for only $299 with a select 200 plan from Flow. Visit online at discoverflow.co today.
Welcome back, viewers, to the Tobago Updates morning show. And at this point, we're heading straight on into our birthday shout-out, sponsored by KFC.
This is your birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
All right, and we start things off this morning celebrating Angela Campbell. In fact, belated birthday greetings going out to Angela Campbell. So we trust that you had a great one. Continue to celebrate all week long. And we've got Natalia Arnold up on screen. Happy belated birthday going out to you, Natalia Arnold. Trust that you had a great one, and lots of love from all of us here at Tobago Updates.
On screen, we have Kimoy Panton, and we're wishing you a belated birthday. Happy birthday, coming from the entire Tobago Updates family.
And we've got Dr. Janelle Moore Scott celebrating our birthday, and we trust, in fact, happy birthday going out to you. We see that you have been enjoying yourself, so happy birthday and lots of love from all of us here at Tobago Updates.
Birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
from the experts that created the Zinger sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger.
The only one I see is you.
Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
All right, welcome back there, viewers. Just out of our birthday shout out segment. And this morning I want to take the opportunity here to send some congratulations out. A quick photo there on screen. Champions of our story. To send some congratulations out to the entire graduating class of 2023 for the Harmon School of SDA. Certainly, a graduation fitting at that. And in fact, I think my understanding is that Harmon is actually a 3-day lineup, starting with the service which took place on Saturday. And that was at Mount St. George SDA, then on to the graduation ceremony at Shaw Park yesterday. And students certainly looking forward this evening to their dinner celebrations. I definitely want to send out sincere congratulations to all graduates. And certainly to single out in the mix, very own, he's out there, Venicia Frederick. Congratulations, Venicia Frederick and all her classmates. Certainly an enjoyable celebration yesterday for graduation taking place for the Harmon School SDA. Congratulations indeed.
All right. Just before we get into the run-on this morning, I want to take the opportunity this morning to extend condolences to Dale Brebner and family. Dale Brebner is a schoolmate of mine. His wife passed away just about a week or so ago. This is Natasha Clark. We understand that the funeral service will be held on Wednesday coming. That is the 19th of July, 1:30 p.m. And it's happening at Ragu Road in Darbadi at Divine Encounter Fellowship Ministries International. So the class of 89 Signal Hill Secondary School takes the opportunity this morning to extend condolences to Dale Brebner and family.
All right. At this point, we're heading straight on into Tobago in Focus.
Good health starts with good nutrition. The Division of Education, Research and Technology understands this, knowing that the future of Tobago lies with the nutrition of our children. The school nutrition policy is being developed for this purpose.
We must understand that the child is a whole being. What the child consumes matters. We do have a lot of wastage with particular meals as well, so we want to bring everything in a streamlined and organized manner so that we are most cost effective in our school nutrition program.
The policy, which is being examined and developed by a multi-departmental team from the division, as well as food and nutrition stakeholders, will seek to reduce waste, provide cost-effective measures, as well as establishing quality standards for meals and the stakeholders who create them.
We're also going to be reviewing the cost, the pricing, criteria for children to access the meals, because that has sort of gotten out of control a little bit over the years, moved away from the original objectives, and also the criteria for selecting and for maintaining your services as a caterer, because you have to maintain a standard.
The committee has been given a 4-month deadline for the full rollout of this policy. Technical advisor at the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Natasha Second, said work is well underway and encouraged principals, teachers and parents to participate in the process when the need arises.
We want to have policies that are very clear, policies that are very pragmatic. They're not going to simply be academic documents that are stuck in a cupboard. We want persons who work throughout the system to be able to move towards an improvingly higher quality education product, because we can measure exactly where we're going. So we want it to be transparent, and we want to have high levels of accountability throughout our entire system.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Yes, viewers, in this segment, we are chatting with a Deputy Chief Secretary and Secretary with Responsibility for the Division of Health, Dr. Faith B. Israel. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, Julian. Thanks for having me. It's wonderful being here.
All right, so as we get the conversation started this morning, we are speaking to current, very topical in our space. Quite recently, we saw press releases coming out from the ministry advising that it's officially here in Trinidad and Tobago, Mpox, monkeypox. We want to get from the Tobago perspective, where are we at? And just before we go into our preparatory mode, because we know that you all have headed into certain meetings, and so in preparation, we want you to begin and to start from, I like to reference from your background in terms of public health. For those who are not aware, I want to believe that there are some misconceptions out there in terms of, tell us a little bit about Mpox and monkeypox.
Certainly. So, yes, we are here. We started preparing for this since last year when we recognized that Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox, we kind of interchanged them, started happening in areas outside of where they traditionally occurred. So they traditionally happened within West African countries for many, many years. It's been a normal thing in West African countries. Last year, though, we recognized that there were individuals in other countries outside of the traditional areas where they were popping up. So what is Mpox? It's actually a virus that is spread from person to person. Well, the original description of it says that it was actually spread from animal to person. But now that it is in the human population, it spreads from person to person. And it's important for us to recognize this, because I see a lot of people speaking about it as if it is the same as COVID, but it is not the same as COVID in terms of how it is actually spread. You need actual close physical contact with someone as the primary way of spreading. So we encourage people to be careful of somebody who you may be kissing, or someone who you may be having very close facial contact with, or bodily contact, skin to skin contact, in the normal sense that usually happens with a close sexual partner is who that happens with. Or if you are in a household, somebody who you are hugging, somebody who you may be sleeping on the same bed with. So those are the areas where we are encouraging people to be a little cautious, because that is how it is actually spread. It also is spread primarily. I mean, we say pox. When we think of pox, traditionally it's a term we use, meaning having a lesion of some sort on your body. It is actually the virus is most concentrated in the fluids that come out of the lesions. We all know if you have a little cut, it usually springs a little bit of water, or the pox springs a little bit of fluid, and it is in that fluid that you see the most concentration of the virus. It also is in other bodily fluids as well, but that is the one that is most critical for us. And if that fluid then comes into contact with a broken skin, a mucosa lining, so it gets into your mouth, your nose, that kind of thing, or it gets onto your skin and you have a broken skin, then you can contract Mpox. So what are the signs and symptoms? The good or bad thing about Mpox is that other than the rash and or the pox, other than that lesion that you see on your skin, it actually looks like so many other illnesses. So you get a fever, you feel lethargic, you may have those things that happen when you start feeling like you're getting a flu kind of thing. That is how you feel. So it really requires you to come in to get a sample taken, and they take the sample from the lesion, get the sample taken, and that sample is then sent to be tested. It's the same PCR testing that we are doing for COVID. It's the same kind of testing that is done to it, and that is when we would be able to say, yes, this person does actually have Mpox.
So I want us to get in a little bit more. You've touched there on the symptoms and kind of giving a very broad idea to make that distinction so people don't take it immediately for COVID? Because I hear persons speaking about, whether or not we got to go back to wearing masks and a number of other things in terms of having that misconception. But give us an idea in terms of what are the global statistics looking like? What kind of situation are we facing from the broader perspective before we begin to even touch home, where we have now seen our first case in Trinidad and Tobago?
Right. So we have a couple 100,000 in the world. But when it comes to what's important to know, though, is that the cases are usually very mild. So that's another thing that we need to be very, very conscious of. In the world, we've had a little over 100 or so, 112 or so people who have died from it. So the number of people who've died is very small, especially compared to, COVIDs. We were talking about hundreds of thousands and millions of people all over the world who are getting very sick and dying from COVID. But as it relates to Mpox, usually the cases are usually very mild. So it's important to know that, which is why it is something that we will not, ideally, because we haven't seen it in any other areas of the world just yet, we will not get to the point of having to do a complete lockdown, for example, the way we thought of COVID, or the way we had to function because of COVID. Again, that goes back to the way it is spread. So remember, in COVID, somebody could have coughed, for example, that would allow the droplets to go into the air, to land on surfaces and so forth. And then somebody else coming into contact with that quote-unquote contaminated air, they could have gotten infected. And that is why we were telling people to wear their mask, because the mask was for you who may be infected, to prevent you from infecting others, or for those who may not have been infected, to prevent them from getting it. But with Mpox, because it is really from the fluids of those lesions, it means you have to really come into close contact. So it's not casual contact. It needs to be close contact, face to face, skin to skin. You may actually also contract it. Let's just say somebody is sleeping in a bed, they have it, the fluids ran off from them onto the sheets, and then somebody else comes and lie down directly on the sheet and that kind of thing. So the transfer is in those kinds of settings, but not the regular, you and I are just sitting here a little bit apart. This is not a concern really to each other, which is why we are not going through the route of the isolation and quarantining and stuff like that the way we did before. We would, though, encourage individuals, if you know you have Mpox and you are in close contact, because you do find some of the virus in your mucosal lining, we do encourage you to also wear a mask, though, if you are coming into close contact with other people, like in your house and that kind of thing. So wear the mask in your house to protect the others from who are within your home from contracting it.
All right. Tell us a little bit very quickly in terms of, would you describe Mpox as deadly, especially when we make the comparison with the most recent in terms of the COVID experience?
No, certainly. The number of individuals who die from Mpox is really, really very, 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 very low. And we've recognized that those individuals who die are those who really have, we're going back to that word that we were using for COVID, comorbidities, meaning you have another disease and your body is generally weaker. So your body isn't able to fight off. So you may have an autoimmune disease, you may have, like HIV or something like that, or you may have another type of cancer or some other kind of disease that is causing your body to not be able to fight off the Mpox as easily as everyone else. But for the vast majority of people, it is a relatively mild disease. And because it is a relatively mild disease, the treatment is also relatively simple. The treatment usually includes basically just treating the symptoms that you may have. So headache is one of the symptoms. So you get something, a painkiller for your headache. Fever is one of the symptoms. You get something for the fever. Sore throat is one of the symptoms. You take something for the sore throat. Yes, even though it is a virus, there are antiviral medications for it. But those are very expensive, and that is not the normal route for treating something like this, particularly since it is not as deadly as COVID was or many of the other viral diseases.
All right. Let's get into the preparation of our healthcare system here in Tobago in terms of readiness for. Tell us about some of those specific efforts.
Certainly. Well, the good thing about this is that we started preparing since last year. So we had gone into all of the entities, as in within the TRHA, even within the other areas, the tourism sector and so forth. This is kind of what you do if this happens. So when we got the case last week, and we now officially, as of up to this morning, officially 2 cases in Trinidad and Tobago, when we heard about that, what we did was basically call everybody together and say, okay, remember last year when we were going through all of this rigmarole story where we were documenting who does what and that kind of thing. Let us just pull those back up, look at those policies again, see if they still make sense, because you never know, a couple months have passed, close to a year has passed. Let's see if we need to tweak anything. And if we don't really need to tweak anything, let's just run with that, which is what we are doing. So the teams actually were meeting last week to go through what was there, to see whether something needed to be tweaked or not. And we recognize that most of the things are fine, so let's just run with the policies. So what is it? If you think that you have one of those symptoms, particularly if you are seeing a pox, a lesion or something like that, definitely you can call 211 to get the ambulance. You can call 800-HEAL, which is the same number we were using last year for COVID, and say, you know what, this is a situation. Let me come and come to the health facility. The professional there will take you and get a sample, and the sample usually comes from the lesion. So the lesion might be on your hand, on your face, on your genitals, your anus. They'll take that sample, contact the office of the county medical officer of health, the CMOH, and then transport that to Trinidad to get it tested and go through that normal process. For the vast majority of people, as I said before, the disease is relatively mild, so you may not need to be hospitalized, for example, because you are not sick enough to be in the hospital. If you do need to be hospitalized, we are going back to having people at the fort, which is where we had people for COVID and so forth. If you absolutely need to be hospitalized, that is an option. But for the vast majority of people, you really would not need to be hospitalized. You could just treat with the fever, treat with the sore throat and so forth. What we are encouraging you to do, though, is to definitely stay isolated. So even if you are not hospitalized and you are at home, stay isolated at home so that you do not pass it on to others who are in your home.
So just to be clear, so it's not a case where persons are being encouraged to come to report to the healthcare facility. So in the event that you call an ambulance, you call for that kind of support, the response isn't as quick enough for you. Is there any way that they report? So how are we treating with that specific to, during the COVID, we had a situation where you get up to the hospital, you go through that processing on the outside before to know whether or not you stay with accident and emergency and so on. Just give us a little bit more, a more specific idea in terms of that process.
Right. So the same thing does apply for this. If you are not ill enough to think that you need to call the hospital or to call an ambulance, for example, you can make your way to a health facility, and they are aware of these are the things you need to look for. What we recognize is, again, because this is an infection that passes through close personal contact, it is actually picked up quite a bit in the STI clinics. Because again, you happen to be coming for some other STI and we recognize you have that lesion, you have that thing. Let's look at that as well. So we have actually been sensitizing the physicians, the health professionals in the different areas. Even if somebody comes for something else and you notice this thing, alert us, let us know, go through the protocols, take the samples, and then we would go from there. If you have any questions at all, call the 800 HEAL number, and then they could walk you through, okay, this is the best place to go. We have, limited volumes of people in this facility versus that one. So go to this one instead of that one. You don't necessarily need to go up A&E. You could probably go to the health promotion clinic or another space that may have a less volume of people to treat with. So that's why we're encouraging people, even if you have these symptoms, call the number, get your questions answered, and we'll go from there.
Will it be a similar situation in terms of isolation, depending on the severity? Persons are required to stay at the health facility, or is it a case that persons can isolate at home? How is that being, what's the proposal to treat with that?
Right, so if you are not feeling very sick, you can isolate at home. The thing that so remember, for COVID, we were actually saying you needed to be separated, and then those your close contacts with, then they needed to be quarantined and that kind of stuff. We're not even doing that at this point. We are just saying, yes, you, the individual who are the case, if you are the case, as long as you're not very, very sick, you can isolate at home. Your family members, be cautious, be careful, try to stay away, stay in your own bedroom and that kind of stuff. We are not saying to them that they also have to quarantine or anything like that at this point. So we're just telling you, be cautious. If you know that you have it, definitely let people who you've been close with. So if you know you have it, or you recognize you have these signs and symptoms, call the person who you probably had a close personal contact, i.e. possibly sex, last week or so. Let them know this is a situation so they can also be conscious, and we go from there.
All right. One of the things we want to give us an idea of the duration. I know it may not be specific in nature, but generally, the process of somebody, getting into contact with the virus, becoming affected, seeing signs and symptoms, going through the process of being cared for, and getting back to the point of recovery.
Yeah. So on average, an individual can see themselves with the pox clearing up. So after you get ill, you get the pox, it things a little bit, you actually see then scabs, the typical when you get cut in the scab, that scab falling off is really the sign that you are in a better place, you now have new skin. That process usually takes about 2 to 4 weeks to get to that process. So that is the window we are really giving individuals. Again, it takes about 2 to 4 weeks for it to get to the point where the scab has actually fallen off and you now have new skin, fresh skin covering that spot. That's about 2 to 4 weeks.
All right. Any information out there or plans specific at that in terms of considerations for vaccines?
Yes. So the thing about that is that we do have vaccines. The minister last week indicated that there are vaccines in the country, but we are again limiting who the vaccines are for. This is not going to be a mass vaccination drive or anything like that. If you think, for example, that you are a close contact of someone who has Mpox, so somebody called you, they said, hey, I have Mpox, and you had close interaction with them, you are allowed to come and get the vaccine, because the vaccine is going to help you not seroconvert, not get it in essence. We are also encouraging healthcare workers who are in the spaces where this is being treated with, where this is being dealt with. We're encouraging them to also get the vaccine. So these are the two main categories of people who we are encouraging to get the vaccine, but the vaccines are available. And once you fall into those two categories, we're encouraging you to get it.
Before it slips in very quickly before we close, impact on children, particularly being back out into that very close kind of physical space, concerns that parents may have. What's the research saying in relation to the impact on children?
Well, the number of children with it is relatively small, even worldwide. Again, we are going back to how you get it. So there may be a situation, for example, where a mother who is hugging and kissing and so forth their child can transmit it to their child, or somebody who is giving birth, the process of childbirth. You can also contract it through childbirth. But other than that, the number of cases in children are very small, and children, like adults, are recovering relatively easily, relatively quickly from Mpox. So it is not something that we need to be too concerned about. Of course, if you have Mpox, and you have lesions, and your child has Mpox and has lesions, you definitely don't want to send them to school and that kind of stuff. Let's just basic common sense in terms of how we roll out these things. But we need to not be as let's not panic. We're not going down the road of a whole pandemic anymore and that kind of thing. It is easily manageable. We just need individuals who may be a case because they have the sore throat, the headache, those things, particularly if on top of those things that we would see, because you realize that's for most colds, coughs, that kind of thing. If you recognize you also have the rash and the pox, definitely let us know. And as soon as you recognize you have that additional thing, let us know, 800-HEAL, and definitely isolate yourself from others, because that is when you are most infectious.
All right. Thank you very much there, Dr. Faith B. Israel, Secretary with Responsibility for Health, just giving us a little insight and seeking to put the minds of many at ease. Yes, we've got to be responsible at this time, treating with the entry of this virus into Trinidad and Tobago. But at the same time, it's important for us to understand the processes and to understand what we are treating with in this circumstance. Of course, in the coming days, we anticipate, and in the coming weeks, that we'll be having further conversations and follow-ups within the healthcare system to put persons into that position. But as it stands now, the contact information is 800-HEAL that you can continue to reach out to, or you can contact 211 in these circumstances as your initial response if you have any concerns at all at this time with regards to what you might be observing, persons that you may be interacting with, or even yourself under the circumstances. Dr. Faith B. Israel for joining us here on set this morning. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for continuing to choose the Tobago Updates morning show, and to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Inner Health, number 13B, Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, with over 25 years experience offering services in and not limited to microscopic blood analysis, reflexology, and the sale of a wide range of organic herbal products used to supplement thyroid, lymphatic, heart, kidney, and brain health, and the male and female reproductive systems. Come and chat with us. Remember, your health is your wealth.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
Come one, come all. It's time to join in the Tobago Heritage Festival 2023. Homage. All are we and all are who we be. To Tobago. Indulge celebrating the awesomeness that is embodied in the spirit of Tobago at the 36th Tobago Heritage Festival. Celebrate a rich, vibrant, hypnotic showcase of our cultural legacy. Yes, from July 21st to August 1st, 2023. Take the island tour. Sample the sumptuous variety of local indigenous delicacies. Enjoy the recreation of old-time village life. Dance to the drum. Feel the rhythm of steel pan. Experience the way of life, languages, and oral traditions. Be part of the journey to our we heritage, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and inspiring our future. Relive our unique culture. Join in the preservation of the heritage of we island of Tobago.
Tapicom. Welcome to the future. The only card you will need in a new world. Digital business cards. Safe, hassle-free. The future is here. Tapicom. New generation digital transfer. Digital time clock cards. Digital attendance cards. Air tags. Customized designs. Digital clothing tags. Digital pet tags. Tapicom. The future is here. Contact us today.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting this morning with Jessie Taylor, Cultural Officer 2, Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation.
Yes,
this morning, viewers, our focus is on the recap of the Recycle and Talent Show, the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality 2023. Good morning and welcome to Jessie Taylor.
Pleasant good morning to you, Ria, and all of Tobago, and hope you're having a good morning.
All right. Now, Jesse, one phase of the competition is now over.
Indeed.
Right. So is it that you can now breathe a sigh of relief, or is it that you're still on high alert?
Yes, indeed, because even if that has indeed happened, we are now heading into full gear because our opening night gala features the other aspect of the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality and the crowning of the Tobago Heritage Monarch. So yes, we're still very much on high alert, so we're still working the kinks out. And then right after that, we move into a bevy of activities happening throughout the island of Tobago, including the community shows.
All right, so let's talk about last Friday. The show was last Friday. Last Friday. Yes, last Friday.
The 14th.
That's right.
Indeed. It was such a wonderful evening, Ria. You felt it. It was, I was a bit blown. In its planning stages, we were hoping to at least get it done okay for its first incarnation, because we've never really, as far as I can remember, separated the aspect of the show like this, the segments. But it really worked well. For sure, judging by what the attendance were, it's not a venue we probably could use if that's the way they would go next year, certainly. The girls were ready, the patrons, they were geared up, and there was this lovely air festivity and the creativity from the various people who presented stuff and had designs and stuff. It was really, really wonderful. The evening was nice. It was almost non-competitive, even though one aspect was highly geared towards what you would see being part of the judging system on Friday.
All right, so tell us, I mean, we've got a lovely lady on screen here.
Yeah,
for those persons who would have missed.
Dejel Kwashi, she is Miss Golden Lane. And it's lovely to have a Golden Lane queen in the pageant. We've had one for quite a while, if I can remember. And
What made this year
this is
different?
a recycleware, and
What
she
made-
placed second.
She placed second.
overall,
Congratulations
yes.
to her. But what made this year different? What made Golden Lane decide this year to be a part of the show?
Scout, all with our heritage is about penetration and our ability to reach those people who are out there. But I think everybody need maybe some persuasion, some coaxing, and I must admit that at the Department of Culture, the division has this mandate and pushing about going to the ends of Tobago to ensure that we not just create opportunities, but we find existing places that we could put our culture on show and our heritage, and that's one of the places that we have been looking towards, particularly since the falling of the silk cotton tree and the importance it has had to Tobago's historical landscape. Yeah.
All right, now I want you to walk, in the interest of time, I want you to walk us through some of the photographs and some of the video
Okay, sure. If I
footage
can,
here that our director is going to pull up on the screen.
Okay.
And you can give us an idea.
So this is Miss Melinda Alfred. She's representing Delicia's Dance Company. And this is a recycleware. She was actually one of the other persons who tied for second in this part of the competition.
Are we seeing
award for best use of recycled material? And it's important for us to focus on how we take what is considered to be trash and make it into treasure, because that is actually done out of plastic bottle, water bottles, and the top of it, that the design that you see in the iridescent is used CDs and bottle corks and the remains of a windscreen that was crashed, and they used to crush the into making the designs on it. So Tobago has a wealth of creativity, and we are contributing to what the world should be by making it a better place, by getting rid of solid filth, reuse, recycle, upcycle.
That was absolutely beautiful, and I also at the base of the dress, could that have been wood shavings?
No, it's plastic bottles that was cut into that shape, very, very unique, which shows the handicraft ability of the various people we have on the island, highly innovative and highly creative.
Where did the creators of these gowns come from? Were they imported?
No, they're actually on the island here.
And I think it's important that we put that out there.
Yes, indeed.
This
is Sparkle Miller. She actually got the top prize in that category. She represents Castara. And as you see, she is something bubbling out of the sea and the marine activities there. Again, this is pure plastic crocus bag, feed bag. That was done to create this design.
Here again.
And then it has some CDs in it. And of course, we are reusing things from the ocean. Yes. So there's shells, and I'm seeing a sea fan as well. And she has a purse, one wouldn't imagine. And like I say, as we pay homage, we are paying homage to all those things that have made us who we are, what was largest things that we would have used for one reason or the other.
All right. Now, I know that our director is going to pull up some more of the footage here. Now, what made 2023 different, apart from the fact that the competition was separated, and you indicated earlier on that maybe moving forward, this is that element that you may decide to work with?
I must give credit to both the secretary of the division, Tasha Morris, and also to Miss Megan Morrison, who is the assistant secretary but has direct responsibility for culture and antiquities. And when she was given this should I?
Yes.
So this is Sabrina. She's from Mason Hall, and this way actually won the most creative design in the entire thing. It was done using Jiffy foam that you would actually use to make carnival costumes, and feed bag, and recycled potato bags, and adorned with coconut shell. And you know what jig is, Rhea? That's it. It's like you make them in a loaf thing to do. You can use them at bath things, but they go into a shape like a cucumber.
Right.
So those things that they hear is actually that, and it also features coconut. The husk from the coconut was used to make flowers, and those are plaited grass. So you see again the handicraft ability of the people. And this was made by Abigail, but it was done by Nigel Sandy.
And you said the plaited grass, almost like what we use.
Yeah, it's actually grass that you have to plait together. Remember in school?
I was just thinking, what was
exactly.
under Mr.
So this
Beans?
was dried grass that we actually put together.
Thank God we learned
make it
this at
into something into what we call wearable arts. And so there was a number of things that were quite very outstanding in the show, using brown paper and goat skin and use buttons and plastic spoons and forks and it was, so I think that we are well on our way to help saving the earth and to ensure that the landfill isn't filled with what we call trash, but we can use these things as our treasures.
Reuse, recycle.
So you asked about what is different. What is different here is that we sat as a team and look at how we can make the Heritage Festival more viable. And I mean, not just economically, but largely economically, but also socially. How do we use it as a platform so that people can really enjoy? And then we realize that we also need to embrace other sectors. This year, Pan has a large, Tobago has a large part to play in all the things we'll be having throughout the different things. So there'll be at the opening night, there'll be at the Emancipation Parade. So I may love drum, but you may also love pan, but pan is not only a national instrument, but we have, as we celebrate, because the theme is pegged to 3 words: as we honor, we celebrate, and we inspire. So we celebrate those people who would have introduced the pan and have seen it where they have left it, and then we are able to honor those people now who are doing those things and inspire a generation of people who use pan as a way to hear other music, our folk songs, our local calypso, and provide a way out of crime and other social disorders. So it's not just about putting a show here, resting a show there, resting things back to back, but giving people an opportunity to really appreciate. This is the talent segment. If you can see, this is Deja doing her piece. And look at that. So you see, even the Tobago's proverbial myths and legend about how to get a man.
How to get a man.
How to trap the man, and what are some of the things you should do, and of course you have to be able to perform and use your skills in order to. And that's what I got from it.
It's interesting how you term it. Okay.
On the way to marriage, but you know the courtship code was a large part, and still is, that leads to the actual wedding that happens in Mariah on the 29th this year.
Okay, so we see that. Now, what in terms of like I said, this was just one phase of the competition. We've got other phases of the competition, as well as the rest. In fact, a few weeks to go still for the Tobago Heritage Festival. The Tobago Heritage Festival. So tell us what happens next.
So immediate to this evening, in a closed door session, the girls will have their conversations as part of the intelligent aspect of the show. So you have to be beautiful by your natural God-given beauty. You have to be talented by what you might have been taught or what you might have been born with, but you also have to have brains with it. So there's an aspect to it that deals primarily and specifically with your ability to be good at interpersonal relationship, how you communicate, how you're able to have conversations, and whatever. This is my Sisters in Culture doing a monologue on the silk cotton tree and it's falling in 2020.
Beautiful.
So yes, so that happens this evening at 5 o'clock, and we are happy to say we have Beverly Oasis Sweets as a sponsor on board with us. So it'll be happening right there this evening. The girls will all go there and have an opportunity to have a one-on-one with their various judges, and then we speed into getting ready to pull off a beautiful evening on Friday the 21st, where the admission is only $100 and every seat is a VIP seat.
I love it. Every seat is a VIP seat. All right, and this is open to the general public, and of
course it is at the Shaw Park Complex from 7 p.m.
And to have persons come and be a part of it.
Yes, certainly.
I'm certainly looking forward.
Opening night, of course, is done by First Citizens, who has been our sponsor for all about 18 years, steady and demonstrating their commitment to preserving our culture and women empowerment in Tobago. This committee is also been chaired by Gillian Franklin, our Cultural Officer 1, and she is ably assisted by Oshun and by well-known Davia Chambers.
All right. So, and it's all coming up, and remind us again of some of the other events that will be taking place.
So
this is just one element.
Once we've concluded that, the idea is to move right into Juve. That will be at Plymouth, the old-time Carnival celebrations. There would also be the formal judging of Old Mass in its various categories, and then we'll be having traditional Mass judging as well, and that's on the 22nd. And then we move right all the way up to the eastern scenic beautiful village of Charlottesville for Natural Treasures Day. And then we move coming down to town, still in Windward, for the Yam Festival and the Old Time Village Market experience and the crowning of the Miss Junior and Little Miss Heritage.
All right.
And then we go on to Salaka Feast on the 26th and like the 27th. And in town, there's a rum shop line that would have aspects of various other snippets of heritage or fringe elements. Mariah on the 29th and the Tobago Harvest Experience in Speyside. Seaside and Pan, everything sea and everything Pan. And then we move on to August 1st, where we do that Freedom Walk, the Emancipation Day celebration down at Crown Point into ending, but it's supposed to be a beautiful bumper heritage season.
I see a comment here on the live from Shirley Cook. Would love to see these as costumes in our October Tobago Carnival.
And you see what I mean? I agree. Again, it could be a niche market. We're going to allow for the creation and placement of things that are eco-friendly, things that we consider waste, because we are continually polluting the space, and so we can fix it. And you see, we have talented young ladies who are ready. And look on the screen here, we have Mason Hall doing her talent, and this is an aspect of our culture, doing the bamboo dance as part of her presentation, and she's ably assisted by her dad, and that shows retention. That's her father. I learned that at the show. That is actually her father.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
But let me ask you here something, Jessie Taylor, with regards to what we just saw, even that bamboo dance. Are these things taught at the schools?
They are not formally taught, but I'm happy to report, Rhea, that this was one of the things we had at our community outreach. It was done at Mason Hall as one of our community outreach fringe heritage elements, and it was called Ready, Set, Go. So we did that. We also did some training in Wake and Bongo, and out of that has flowed this. So we are seeing what is refreshing, a continuance and even a growing interest by new people, and I mean fresh faces, people who would not normally be a part of the heritage. We're seeing a new set of wave of people who are showing that, yes, we can still inspire as we honor and celebrate.
All right, well, thank you so much. Always a pleasure chatting with you on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And viewers, lots more coming up with regards to Tobago Heritage Festival. So, and I would love to say, if you haven't booked your tickets, maybe now is a good time too. I'm not sure what's happening with Carl, so I'm going to leave that right there. But we want to thank you for joining us for this segment. Lots more coming up on the program. So share the live, share the live, share the live.
Right now, Tobagonians are just currying down to Bonaccord, right in Stobie Local Road. You know why? To come down and shop at Authentic Builders General Hardware, the only hardware store in Tobago that is giving you guys Trinidad prices. So for instance, such as steel, 1/2 inch and 5/8, $7,895. 5/8 construction ply for $260. Every single thing that you will need to do your home renovation or start your new construction, we have it right here. And to get your quotation, it's very easy. Just WhatsApp us at 272-1990 and we will do your free WhatsApp quotation for you.
you flood ready? Recycle and properly dispose of large waste. Avoid sweeping yard clippings or trash into drains. Plant trees to avoid soil erosion. An initiative to help people prevent, prepare, recover. TATIL, where people are people.
October will never be better with Tobago Carnival fever. Book your passage and come on over.
Yes, be careful.
Honey, I feel I'm going to start to cook, yes, because these children must be hungry now, right? Okay.
These plugs, oh my gosh.
Hey, Richard, hey, come from there, come from there.
What's going on in here?
Oh God, I should have buy extra, boy. What would you do if this happened to you? Dial 990 in case of fire emergencies and always have a serviceable fire extinguisher ready and available at all times.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. This morning we're chatting with Cameron Bruno, the Marketing and Promotions Manager, EIDCOT, and this morning it's all about EIDCOT at TIC 2023. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
It's nice to have you on the program with us this morning. All right, so let's talk about what's been happening and what's going to be happening. Tell us when all of this takes place.
Yes, so EIDCOT, which is the Eco-Industrial Development Company of Tobago, would be at TIC, which is the Trade and Invention Conference in the Center of Excellence at Macquarie and Trinidad, from July 20th to 22nd. We would be partnering with the Strategic Business Support and Development Unit, which is from the Division of Finance, Trade and Economy, to bring a section of THA entities into the space under the theme of One Tobago. So EIDCOT would be present with a couple of other vendors and MSMEs to be able to provide support and also provide the information for developing Tobago's economy.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some of those vendors, those Tobago vendors, and the opportunity. In fact, what type of opportunity is available to them being a part of this?
Yes, so TIC is one of the biggest conventions in the Caribbean. So it provides our vendors who are in the sections of food and beverage, design, creativity, to be able to showcase their work and get some sort of coverage or exposure when it comes to getting their work out there, being able to connect with other businesses who may be interested in buying some of their stocks, being able to distribute at different grocery stores or other places in the Caribbean, and also just provides them with that sort of good network that would be able to get them further and support their business as well.
What about some of the other vendors who would have been a part of TIC's opportunities in the past?
So I could talk about what EIDCOT is doing at TIC this year. So we have two of our tenants, Bar Estate and Tobago Preserve Cravings, who will be coming with us because they are our tenants and we want to support them as much as possible and provide them with that opportunity to network there. So with having two vendors as well as having our animation studio there, would be able to provide this sort of support. So they would have giveaways, they would be sharing their product with the other people who would be present, and also just giving them the opportunity to connect and further develop their business throughout this space.
Okay. And I'm loving the fact that, you know, our local vendors are being given this opportunity. All right. So is it that registration is already closed off? Is there still an opportunity for other persons to get involved?
So the best thing that I could say is that you can come to TIC for free as long as you register as a buyer or consumer. So registration for that is still open up until Wednesday. So to come to the event, you would have to register. But we do have a sort of collection, so a booth for One Tobago. So all of that has been prepared, and we really are excited to promote the One Tobago mission and theme that we have in order to get the full holistic experience that Tobago has to offer in all of the different sectors.
And how can one register as a consumer?
So they could go online to tic.org. And they would just have to go onto the registration now. It's just a very big button so that people could thing, and it's for free. So you just register as a buyer. They will give you a QR code, and you would scan upon entry.
Okay. Cameron, remind our viewers this morning of, the purpose of EIDCOT and some of the services that are offered.
Yes, so the Eco-Industrial Development Company is the management service of the Cove Eco-Industrial and Business Park. So one of our main missions is to be able to provide small and micro businesses with procurement support, property management, as well as project management for their businesses. So we have two separate entities in which you can be involved with EIDCOT, which is being a part of our build spaces, which is in our factory shells, or MPUs, which is the multi-producer units. And then we also have the opportunity for people to be land-based tenants. And get land at reasonable prices, free business support and project management supports come with those leasing terms as well. And it's just to be able to provide these businesses with the support that they need to grow. We want to be there for them as much as possible and to provide any sorts of business resources as well. So we recently had our e-incubator program for small businesses in Tobago to be able to provide them with the knowledge to develop their finances, make sure everything is in order to make their business develop as well. So aside from having that, we are very big on entrepreneurship and innovation. So we recently launched our first animation studio in Tobago, ePixel Studios, on Saturday. So we're really excited to promote this mission of entrepreneurship, artistic development, and innovation at EIDCOT.
What are some of the areas in terms of business that EIDCOT covers?
So we have food and beverage, we have the creative sector, we also have for natural gases and electricity, so we do have TNTech and NGC on the field, as well as any other businesses that falls under our mandates. So that is anything under the entrepreneurship. So we do have other sectors in which you would be able to perform in the manufacturing sector and the operational sector as well.
And is it specific only to nationals of Trinidad and Tobago?
As far as I'm concerned, the business park is open for businesses that are willing to develop Tobago's economy. So once you do provide your application process and you get through with whatever consultations and meetings that we have to do internally, we'll be able to provide you with as much information as possible to get through with the tenancy process.
And how do we contact EIDCOT's office?
So we have a couple of options at the moment. You can go to our website, which is www.e-idcot.com. You can also email us at info@e-idcot.com. You can also send me a message as the Marketing and Promotions Officer. So that's marketing.po@eidcot.com. .co.tt, and we also have the opportunity to follow us on social medias, Instagram and Facebook at EIDCOT Ltd, which is EIDCOT Limited.
Okay, lots of information out there. All right, but certainly different avenues to reach out to them and be able to get the information that you need. We want to thank you so much for being on the program with us. Just before we go, is there any other bits of information that the public needs to be aware of with regards to what's coming up? And remind us of the dates.
Yes, so EIDCOT would be present with the Division of Finance, Trade and Economy. We have our Tobago troop going to TIC, which is July 20th to 22nd, 2023. So you could meet us at the Center of Excellence from those dates. And we're really, really happy to see you there as well.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the program this morning. We just chatted there with Cameron Bruno, and Miss Bruno is the Marketing and Promotions Manager for EIDCOT, and it's all about EIDCOT at TIC 2023. Well, viewers, we're going to leave it there. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to head on over to GMT, but just before we do, we're going to head on over to Tobago Notes. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
total of 1,048 students participated in this year's SEA examination, comprising of 513 girls and 535 boys. 7 schools in Tobago showcased exceptional performances in the SEA 2023 examination, surpassing the national mean of 199.99. These schools are the Lambo Anglican Primary, the Bethesda Government Primary, the Scarborough Roman Catholic Primary, Booker Government Primary, Signal Hill Government Primary, Blackrock Government Primary, and the St. Nicholas Private Primary. Please note that this is a school excellence report that is not linked to a ranking of individual student performance, as there are 4 schools performing above the national mean without students ranked in the top 20 list. And the reverse occurs where there are students on the top 20 list, but their schools did not perform above the national mean. It is noteworthy that the number of remedial students scoring below 30% decreased significantly this year, with 159 students falling under this category. This accounts for 15% of the total students, marking a substantial improvement compared to 2022, where 329 students, 33% of the 984 candidates that wrote the exam, required remedial assistance. Based on these findings, remedial efforts within the school system would continue.
How did we go about creating our Cycle 2 intervention strategy? Wide stakeholder engagement. So we had meetings of an interdisciplinary nature where we involved persons at the Division of Education, Research and Technology, personnel from the Division of Tourism, the Division of Natural Resources, the Division of Community Development, and motivational speakers and general practitioners. So we all together, we reviewed the timetable, the curriculum, came up with specific strategies for monitoring and evaluation, because in education we say what is not monitored is not done. We also want to look at effective marketing practices, because we want to ensure that we reach every single child in this target group. No child is to be left behind. We are coming to engage every parent to send every child who belongs to the target group out to Project Impact.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds, brought to you by Flow.
The news in 90 seconds is brought to you by Flow, working for you on Tobago's newest fiber network.
Up, Sparkle Taylor Miller won the recycled work segment of the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality 2023. The first part of the competition took place last Friday. All 7 contestants were tested on their abilities to create statement fashion pieces using natural recyclable materials innovatively. Sparkle Taylor Miller hails from Castara and impressed the judges the most. She was followed in second place by Melinda Alfred of the Lyceus Dance Agency and Dejel Kwashi of Golden Lane. The final part of the competition takes place on Friday, 21st July at the Shore Park Cultural Complex. And into some sad news, lead architect of the Scarborough redevelopment project and cricketer Joshua Stewart has passed. Stewart played an integral role in conducting the feasibility study for the project alongside international experts. He was also instrumental in designing the master plan for the initiative. Moving on, 4 workers from the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services were charged with stealing food cards. This came out of an investigation into the disappearance of 32 food cards in 2022 worth over $117,000. While the investigation was ongoing, the 4 were set on administrative leave in October. Meanwhile, the 5th perpetrator took an early retirement in order to escape charges. And finally, the Ministry of Education denounced the actions taken by some government schools to inflict exorbitant school fees on students. This action is not in accordance with the government's free education policy. As such, principals were asked to desist from this practice with immediate effect. It applies to all government and government-assisted ECE, primary and secondary schools. And that was the news in 90 seconds, brought to you by Flo.
The news in 90 seconds is brought to you by Flow, working for you on Tobago's newest fiber network.
Tobago, after freeness is more speed and better TV. Get a free Samsung smartphone and free installation, plus 200 megabits per second, Paramount Plus, and more for only $299 with a select 200 plan from Flow. Visit online at discoverflow.co today.
Okay, all right, welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Well, viewers, like we have a whole lot happening within our space. I mean, as you see, we had the Miss Tobago Heritage Personality Competition, which kicked off over the weekend. Now, of course, we know from Mr. Jesse Taylor, the cultural officer in the division, that the competition is going to take place in several phases. We had one part of it happening on Friday, and of course, the conclusion will happen this coming Friday on the 21st, and it's going to be combined with the Heritage Calypso Monarch competition as well as the opening gala. We're very excited to see how that's going to turn out. It's definitely a deviation from what has been the norm at the Tobago Heritage Festival, where these events would be separated. But we're certainly looking on to see how it works. And, as we continue to follow up this very important issue, this week we're going to see what's going to happen in Parliament, where Parliament is going to be convened to address some of the changes on the procurement legislation. And, it definitely has a lot of implications for how we do business here in Tobago. It's going to affect the small businessman, and we're very curious to see what changes or exactly the nature of the changes that the government will present, and to see, how they can better cater to the needs of suppliers and so on, and ensure that goods can be procured in a transparent manner, but also in an efficient manner. We know one of the challenges that the current legislation poses is that small purchases have to all go through the same 2-month tendering process. All right, so we're going to be looking forward for that. And yeah, you're going to want to stay tuned to Tobago Updates. We're going to be discussing it on the morning shows as well as the news at 6:30. So in the meantime, we're going to go to a break and we'll be back.
Come one, come all. It's time to join in the Tobago Heritage Festival 2023. Homage. All are we and all are who we be. To Tobago. Indulge Imagine the awesomeness that is embodied in the spirit of Tobago at the 36th Tobago Heritage Festival. Celebrate a rich, vibrant, hypnotic showcase of our cultural legacy. Yes, from July 21st to August 1st, 2023. Take the island tour. Sample the sumptuous variety of local indigenous delicacies. Enjoy the recreation of old-time village life. Dance to the drum. Feel the rhythm of steel pan. Experience the way of life, languages, and oral traditions. Be part of the journey to our we heritage, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and inspiring our future. Relive our unique culture. Join in the preservation of the heritage of we island of Tobago.
Inner Health, number 13B Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, with over 25 years experience offering services in and not limited to microscopic blood analysis, reflexology, and the sale of a wide range of organic herbal products used to supplement thyroid, lymphatic, heart, kidney, and brain health, and the male and female reproductive systems. Come and chat with us. Remember, your health is your wealth.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are now being joined by Ms. Kizelle Jackson, who is going to speak to us about a very good initiative that she has here for not just the people of Trinidad, but also the people of Tobago. So good morning and welcome to you, Ms. Jackson. How are you?
Good morning, Candace, and to all your viewers at this time. Candace, I'm still a little bit hoarse, but yes.
All right, and then we see you've been traveling the world recently, enjoying yourself a bit.
Yeah, a mixture of both work and pleasure.
Great. Now, let's talk about an initiative that you're hoping to roll out here in Trinidad and Tobago, and that has to do with a school book card initiative.
Mm-hmm. Candace, that initiative, as you know, I'm a former tutor at the UWI. I'm also a former principal and a former guidance counselor. So education is very much akin to me. I understand the importance of having accessibility. So not all the time things are available, it is accessible. And the power of the book and the power of having the tools necessary to equip every child with that level of equity as well as confidence to know that they're going into the academic year well equipped. So to those single parents, that is not only single mothers, but single fathers as well, that are in abject poverty, that cannot afford, some of these textbooks are very expensive, exceeding $200 and something per textbook. It may be an insurmountable task. I am here to help. So the card says Kizelle Jackson Cares, and it's exactly what I am.
So how would this card work?
Well, we have different mediums to make sure that all can enjoy it easily without the headache. So we also have the digital rollout of cards. We have the traditional cards, of course. We have the voucher. So my team is in conversations with the bookstores at this time to make sure that all have the ease of access in order to be able to redeem their card.
And how do people qualify for the cards?
All right. We already did some means testing because, you know, I have been walking the ground. I am very much in close relations and close connection as to what is happening in some of these areas. We are targeting approximately 180 areas that are in abject poverty, that are usually, I would say they are marginalized, they are forgotten by many. Now, for these areas, I'm asking my team, I have a team set up because the task is more than me. So I put a team together so that we can look at the social media. Even if you are not on a social media platform, but someone may know of some person, some single parent that needs the help, you can also make such a recommendation. We will review, I asked not longer than a paragraph. We will review your request. And in reviewing your request, we cannot accommodate everyone because, as I say, it's 180 areas. We are trying to see how much we can facilitate with this initiative.
And then what is the value of the cards that you are giving out?
Each card is valued at 1,000 TT dollars.
And, when would people be able to access these cards?
This card will be rolled out as early as next week, but stay tuned to all the mediums. I'm using also the mass media, that is television, radio, as well as print media, newspapers. So everyone will be quite cognizant of where and what will be taking place, very orderly and strategically done to make sure that those that are in need get the help directed to them.
Now, and you also said that, the cards are you want to make sure the cards really do get to those people that are in need. And I want you to elaborate on that a little bit.
When I say need, I'm speaking about those in abject poverty. I'm speaking about those single mothers and single fathers that do not have the means or access in order to attain these books for their children to be able to enter into the new academic year. When we target the areas specifically, you understand that these areas are encompassed with a community of poor people, but there are different categories of poor, as sociology will explain to you. I am dealing with the abject poor, those that are marginalized, ostracized, and forgotten that cannot afford. I'm telling these children that are probably watching your program now and the parents that are watching, there is hope.
You also said that some of this is available for people in Tobago as well, so it's not just Trinidad.
Yes. Actually, I'm doing something quite different this year. So the first rollout will be as early as next week, and we start in the beautiful little paradise of Tobago. Normally, Tobago is always left for last. I just change it up a little bit, and I say, why not start in Tobago first?
And are you partnering with anybody here in Tobago to make sure that the cards do really get to those people in abject poverty who need it the most?
Well, I don't know if you're aware, but while in my absence, I had people on the ground in Tobago doing a feasibility study as well as a mean test study. I have the report that came back to me. I'm just in Trinidad less than 48 hours. I'm battling with a throat. I don't know what's happening with my throat. So I'm taking this week to rest and relax a bit. I will do some work via the internet, via emails, virtual meetings such as these, and just to regain my voice and regain my strength. Because as you know, when you travel, it takes a lot out of you. And even in my travel, my humanitarian initiative was well successful. My initiative is not just for Trinidad and Tobago, it has never been. I have been a philanthropist for the last 15 years, thanking God for His mercy, thanking God for His gifts. As I say, to whom much is given, much more is expected. So I am out there making myself accessible as much as possible, as much as my resources would allow, to help those not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but the Caribbean and the wider international community at large. At present, I'm not partnering with anyone in Tobago or Trinidad, just the people who are in need.
And as you spoke to the feasibility studies that were done or have been doing, are continuing right now, can you give me an idea of what are some of the data that came out of those studies in regards to the abject poverty that exists within Trinidad and Tobago?
It is sad because we had a recent statistics that was done by an international body that says that more than 20% of the population of Trinidad and Tobago lives in abject poverty. These are people that are below the poverty line. It is disheartening to know that this is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago after so many oil booms, that money is not being filtered down into the lower classes, and they are not asking for much. They are asking for better quality of life and living. They are asking for equity and fairness in terms of the opportunity to have available to them the basic necessities for survival. Education is not only a tool for the mind, but is also a tool for mobility, for one to be able to climb the social stratification hierarchy, to get an opportunity to move yourself out of the vicious cycle of poverty.
And then what have you found as to some of the major reasons why we continue to have this much abject poverty within Trinidad and Tobago?
There are many reasons. We can't look at it in isolation, but very holistic. What I will say is that we say we have education for all. That is true. But if a parent cannot afford for that child to reach to that school, then the availability and the accessibility, it is not the same. If a parent cannot afford to purchase the textbooks, then a child may sit in a class with students who have the means, who have the access to these textbooks, and then the child may be given homework, may be given revision, and yet still cannot do the work. So it's not to say the child does not have the ability, but the provisions, the tools in order to equip him or her to be a success is lacking.
And, I mean, what have you found in terms of the initiatives that are present within the system, the government, and so on? As to the reasons why that those initiatives those social initiatives don't reach down to those people that really need it the most.
Well, in Trinidad, we have a culture of friends, family, and finances. We have a culture of corruption. We have a culture that is sometimes a free for all. Because most times, some of these things are available, but the people that really need it do not attain it because you are not a friend, family, or a close associate. It's a sad state that we are in, but we must begin to restructure our culture, restructure our way of thinking, and continue to be our brothers and sisters keeper. When we move away from the meistic attitude, the self-serving attitude, and we recognize that everything we are accountable to God. We are here for a temporary time. So why hold on to try to say something is permanent that is temporal, Candace?
Certainly. Well, Ms. Jackson, as we're getting ready to wrap our conversation this morning, I would just like you to reiterate that information as to how people can get connected with you and how those that really need it can access those cards for school books.
No problem. To all single parents and to all viewers that may know a single parent or a single mother, a single father that is living in abject poverty and you cannot help, you can. This may be your mean in which you can help that person by connecting with me via all my social media platform. My social media platform is just one name. I'm Kezel Jackson on all platforms. You can send requests on multiple platforms because I have different people that are assigned to different platforms. So I'm asking you, don't send one request. You can send the request on various platforms so that it is increasing numbers so that I'm sure you will be seen and your requests will be viewed. I asked my team to review every request. I've increased my human capital in terms of persons that are assigned to this task so that we will be able to cover the number of persons. We start from next week and we go up until the 16th of August, 2023.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Ms. Jackson, and especially thank you for being able to do this for the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Jackson and Jackson today. It is Kezel Jackson and Candace Jackson today.
Yes, certainly.
Jackson squared.
Thank you so
and
much.
Candace, your station as well. You all can also send requests on behalf of persons that you may know, persons that may have viewed this program and wish to probably get some more information, or names of persons that you all know that may be in need of help. I would publish the days in which I would be in Tobago. That's next week. I would publish the days and the locations and the different sites where I will be. I'll also be on the ground in Tobago, but that will be published, as I say, via radio, via television, and via newspaper. So nobody will be left without the information as to where we would be. Yes, so send your requests as well, Candace, if you know individuals in your personal capacity that are in need of help. I am here to help you. This program is humanitarian. There is no political alignment or assignment to it. I'm saying, regardless of who you are, regardless of your political affiliation, if you are in need, I am indeed here to serve you. And I thank you. Love covers everything.
Certainly, certainly. And thank you for joining us and for sharing that information and for reaching out. All right?
No problem.
Okay, viewers, well, that's it for this segment, but we got a lot more coming up for you on the program, so you don't want to go anywhere.
To a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Come one, come all. It's time to join in the Tobago Heritage Festival 2023. Homage. All are we and all are who we be. To Tobago. Indulge in the awesomeness that is embodied in the spirit of Tobago at the 36th Tobago Heritage Festival. Celebrate a rich, vibrant, hypnotic showcase of our cultural legacy. Yes, from July 21st to August 1st, 2023. Take the island tour. Sample the sumptuous variety of local indigenous delicacies. Enjoy the recreation of old-time village life. Dance to the drum. Feel the rhythm of steel pan. Experience the way of life, languages, and oral traditions. Be part of the journey to our we heritage, honoring our past, celebrating our present, and inspiring our future. Relive our unique culture. Join in the preservation of the heritage of we island of Tobago.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise.
Good morning, Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are being joined this morning, by Sergeant Joseph Jordan of the TTPS. Good morning and welcome to you. How are you doing?
Good morning to you. Good morning to your viewing and listening audience. I am good. Thanks for having me here this morning.
All right, great. Now, I want to get started with some of the things that are happening within the space. First of all, we heard some reports over the weekend that some investigations are going on in regards to the controversial audio tape. What information can you share with me in regards to that?
Controversial tape. Which one are you referring to?
Well, the one which was released regarding some voices that were senior people within the THA, particularly the Chief Secretary, in alleging that or the strategic meeting where they were discussing the use of propaganda within their
All right.
Yes.
All right. So on that matter, now the Commissioner of Police has directed that certain directives or direction be taken. Now, yes, the public may want to have detailed information, but I cannot provide detailed information on that. What I would say as relates to that matter, a number of claims made by the Chief Secretary, the THA, are being investigated or being looked at. And when the necessary information is gathered and if there is reasonable cause that anything to be checked on, that will be done and the public will be notified accordingly. But at this point in time, the police is taking a look into the matter as being directed by the Commissioner of Police.
Is it true that devices were taken from certain individuals as part of the investigation?
At this point in time, I have no information on that, so I cannot see.
All right. Now, moving on. Now, we've had a lot of events that happened over this weekend. Particularly, there was an accident involving 3 teenagers.
All right. So, yes, we had an accident on Saturday gone where two teenagers in particular, aged 15 and 17, they would have stolen a vehicle from a car rental in the Crown Point area. The 15-year-old was the driver, and that vehicle collided into a TSTT post and eventually burst into flame. Now, an onlooker or a villager would have seen the incident and would have rescued the occupants of that vehicle before it burst into flame. So we want to be thankful to that villager who would have observed what is taking place. Now, those persons are at the hospital, and the police are taking the necessary steps as relates to investigating that crime. I can also say that those individuals are persons who have been in or have been interest of the police in times gone by. So this is not the first time we are encountering them. And once again, it goes back to as relates to general supervision of our children. So at least 2 of them, they are 117 and 115, and they are relatives. So that investigation is ongoing, and so a number of things can come out of that, such as driving a vehicle without the vehicle owner's consent, malicious damage to government and state entity property like the lamppost. A number of things can come out of it, and so the investigation is going to take place, and as soon as charges, if necessary, the public will be informed.
So if I understand it correctly, it is possible that these teenagers can be charged for this?
It is possible once the investigation goes that way, and that is all. That investigation is also dependent on what the owner of the vehicle would like as well. So the police would do what they have to do, and the owner would also do what they need to do. So there will be some action will be taken in that instance.
It is also my understanding that the teenagers that were involved were some troubled youths within the area.
Right, as I mentioned shortly, they are persons that we have encountered before, and it's what we want to say repeat offenders. And I often see or remind persons, many of the people or individuals who run afoul of the law, sometimes it's not the first time. Right? And that is one of the challenges we have with many of our criminal elements. As in times gone by, we would have had something like the repeat offenders unit, and they try to treat with persons who continue to commit crime, and there is no form of rehabilitation taking place. And this is what is sometimes causing the challenge for the police officers. So sometimes, many of the times, we have instances where persons ask for the criminal record, or you go for one of the reasons they would ask somebody to go and do a CFC, and that is to show if these persons have committed offenses and if they are repeat offenders.
Now, what are some of the other updates on events that took place over the weekend?
All right, so let me just go back to our initial aspect of my general updating. So we're going to look at our statistics as relates to 2022 versus 2023, and the period under reviews from January 1st to July 8th. And we have, as it relates to our serious report crimes, in 2022, we would have recorded 409, whilst in 2023, we are now recording 331. So we are seeing a 19% decrease in SRCs. As it relates to our detection rate, we have a slight increase. We're now going to 29%. Now, in addition to that, our national mandate, according to our operational and strategic plan, the commissioner has been mandated to reduce serious report crimes by 15%. So far, Tobago is at 19%. So we are above the required measure, and we want to ensure that that continue to increase. We want to thank the general public and our officers for making that happen. So what we have seen over the last year, there's a steady reduction in serious report crimes in Tobago. Now, I often have to go along the line of, yes, we have seen an increase in murders as we compare the period, because around the same period, or the period of that we are comparing, we would have recorded 7 this year as versus 4 last year. So generally, there is an increase in murders. However, we are challenged right now. We are seeing an increase in robberies. And I would like to look at some robberies that took place over the last week. So between Monday and Tuesday of last week, we would have recorded, I think, about 3 robberies, right? 2 persons were robbed in the Crown Point district, in particular, at the Stumpy compound, yes, right? And those 2 persons were relieved of their jewelry at gunpoint. Fortunately, those 3 persons, we had 3 suspects in custody thereafter. So charges would be laid soon. And as a result of that, through a collaborated effort with the our IATF, Joint Army Patrol, and officers of the Sherva and Crown Point districts, a firearm was also recovered. And it is suspected that was the firearm used in the robbery. Now, we would have had a burglary at Signal Hill, Lambo, where persons, about 4 men armed with firearm, went into the home of an individual and ransacked the house, and also jewelry was taken from that home. Upon leaving, several shots was fired at the home. Fortunately, no one was answered. So it brings us to the point where at least these 3 robberies, burglary, the main items were jewelry, and it also has to show that the motive of these actions is worth noting, and there may be a connection or there may not be a connection. However, we are looking at the connections, and it's something that we want to be mindful of.
And is it common at all to see reports of robberies that jewelry is the item of choice? Right. But most of the times with robbery of that nature, because there are different types of robbery, people would take robbery, basically will take whatever is of value. And it might be almost strange to see that a wannabe robber see you have a big gold chain and just probably just take your watch and leave your gold chain. So it is the intent of most persons who commit those crimes to take whatever they can, and jewelry being the value that it is, they would target that. And this is where we would advise persons, or at this point in time, people that be mindful as to where and how they wear their jewelry. Some people might say, but it's my thing, I work hard for it, I buy it. But you're also putting your life in danger. And the instances that it would have been late in the night, this is after 10 p.m. in the night, or between the hours of 10 p.m. and around 2 a.m., these incidents would have happened. And it really wonders as to the mindset of our persons. Now, the first 2 incidents would have taken place basically in a public place. Now, the other incident would have taken place at a home. So you broke into somebody's home with the intent to find jewelry and money. And this is where it is very much challenging for the police, because you are seeing people, they are going to all lengths and breadth to commit crime.
But we are asking that the general public be mindful as to what you do. Check your surroundings. And it comes back to the basic security measures. If you are home, let us look at lighting, proper lighting, the use of CCTV, the use of canines. All these things can assist in you protecting your home. And on the note of or going back on the point of the robbery, as I said, we are getting success as it relates to the capture of these personnel. It is a reactive approach. However, we were able to get several suspects as well as recover a firearm. So that is good. We thank the public for that information, and we continue to work with members of the community to ensure that we can get crime to a minimal. On that note, on Wednesday of last week, we would have had a town meeting at Signal Hill. And I'm drawing reference to that town meeting because in thanking the residents, they gave the police ideas as to what we can do also to assist us in being proactive, as well as the community having initiatives of their own to assist in making sure that their environment or their communities are safe. So we encourage persons to attend town meetings. We are having one today at Speyside, and we are encouraging the residents of Speyside to come out and speak with the police. It is not a one-way channel. It is a two-way channel that is encouraged so that persons can share ideas, and we can also, come up with philosophies that we can better police our communities.
Great. And as you spoke about CCTV cameras, how much has that assisted in the solving of these crimes, especially the robberies and so on that are happening within our space?
Right. CCTV provides an extremely amount of assistance in solving crimes. However, there are instances where persons may have CCTV, but it's not working, or it may not have captured the information or the event at that point in time. And outside of the national grid of CCTV, persons have their own private CC at their homes. Not everybody might be willing to share, but I would say this much. It is often very amazing that when incidents happen, persons would place it on the social platform and share it all over the place. And sometimes when the police require that assistance, conveniently, that said CCTV footage, it ain't working. I don't have any. And how could we solve crime when we do not partner with one another? The police, as relates to a crime, the police is somewhat reactive, so we are going to seek information thereafter. If the police is present on a crime scene, we can act. But if we are not, we are now seeking, our information would come from the general public, the general audience, a witness, as it relates to what would have transpired, and we are seeking information from that person. So we continue to ask the public to partner with us in order for us to solve crime, and not only solve crime, but be proactive in bringing measures that are going to prevent crime from happening.
And certainly that information that you've already gotten from those that have cooperated have led to the conclusion of a lot of the investigations.
Yes, and we continue along that path. Now, our initiatives in the Tobago division has extended to Trinidad as well, is that we are doing more stringent patrolling styles. We are doing joint army patrols. We are doing interagency approaches, and we are seeing that being success, because in that effort in recovering that firearm and capturing those suspects, congratulations to the team, because it was a all hands on board approach which resulted in the capture of these persons.
And it was the same night.
And it was the said night. All right. So it showed that collaborating is working, and we can see in the Tobago division, our plans that we have implemented by our assistant commissioner and our senior superintendent, it is bearing fruit, because we have been able to capture a number of persons, we have been able to prevent a number of crimes, and we continue to encourage our officers to be proactive in their approach. It is the only way for us to solve crime. And what we want in Tobago in particular is to keep our country safe. We do not want the elements or the extent to which Trinidad is suffering from to come to Tobago or to be that prevalent. So we are putting the necessary things in place to have it done.
And of course, it is something that can only be done through partnership with every part of society.
Certainly. And we continue to, because even programs like these, this is how we're going to partner. So because I can speak about our tongue meetings of the past that would have born certain ideas, and the tongue meetings that are to come, we continue to encourage persons, business personnel, up your security measures. If it means, especially if you can afford it, get some private security to assist. Now the police cannot be everywhere. Our main mandate, yes, is to protect and serve, but in Trinidad and Tobago, there is not a police to every citizen, right? And therefore, we are asking personnel, we know this is the holiday time, we are asking you to ensure that you employ people that are trustworthy, because everybody now, they are looking for, sometimes we're looking for an end. Everybody want to earn some extra cash. Persons are now coming out of school, they will be looking for employment. How will the police is going to assist with that? We have our certificate of character. Let persons apply to ensure that they don't have any criminal record. Ask within the community, what about this person? Because now, the certificate of character would only capture persons who may have committed crimes. You could imagine you have somebody committing crime for many, many years and we have no record of them. A certificate of character is not going to help. And this is where you're going to look at people's character by the community from which they come, by speaking with persons. Sometimes you could, especially young persons coming out of school, you could have a conversation with a teacher. And these are some of the ways you're going to know who are the best person to employ. So security measures must be put in place. You have to be proactive and not reactive in that instance to avoid persons, whether say, as we say, attacking your business or causing you to have greater losses than you ought to have.
And as you mentioned, school children and so on, what are some of that advice that you have for parents at this time, especially where we are on the July-August vacation?
Right. So I wanna refer to that accident, that serious accident that would have taken place with those teenagers. This is where we speak about supervision of your children. Why it is that in the late hours of the night, you are roaming the streets to the point that you would have stolen a vehicle from a car rental, crash it, injure yourself, and the vehicle also caught a fire. This is a very concerning matter to us. And this is where we want to encourage parents that during this time, enroll your children, and if we can, enroll them in camps. We speak about enhancing their career. Persons, as I said, persons are looking for jobs now. Everybody want to get an extra dollar, but it must be done in an orderly manner. We speak about having the children involved in community projects. We ask persons to enroll their children sometime in the police youth clubs because they are available and it's an avenue to ensure that children are on the right path. So the police youth clubs are there. If you have, for example, some organization may have programs, or as we say, or July, August vacation programs, you can invite the police to come and speak to your child, your young charges as relates to offenses such as sexual offenses, larceny, generally how to conduct yourself. And the police not only operates within the July-August period, but during the school period, and this is where we have officers assigned as much as possible. Officers are assigned to the schools so that if there are problems within the school, you can engage that officer. And these are some of the programs that we continue to roll out or continue to pursue in order to ensure that our young minds are kept on the right path. So it doesn't give us any additional work. A crime-free society shows the work of the police, not a high crime rate with a high detection rate. What we want is to keep crime at a minimal. As Robert Peel indicated, that the police measure is on the absence or the limited amount of crime taking place. So it means that crime, in order for us to be successful, we need to be proactive.
All right, and I guess with those words, we can wrap our conversation this morning. And certainly, I mean, I'm going to throw it out to the public that, you know, we really do need to continue partnering with the police, because crime is everybody's business and everybody does have a responsibility when it comes to keeping our society safe and, you know, making sure that we protect ourselves.
Certainly. So I thank you for reinforcing that information to the general public. And in Tobago, we are accustomed to the neighborly love, and we want to encourage that. And as you often say, if you see something, say something. And I know the issue of trust always comes up with that statement. However, we have our 800 tips and 555 that you can communicate with, as well as we often have a trusted officer that you may be aware of. Communicate with them so that we can bring a reduction and be proactive in our approach to crime and our social ills.
Yes, because at the end of the day, if the police don't know about what's happening, or they don't have the information, how can they solve the crime? So your voice is definitely needed. You know, ignore the concerns that or the talk about whether or not you can trust the police. You need to forget that and just continue reaching out. Make sure that your information is out there. All right, so I want to thank you, Sergeant Jordan, for joining us. And viewers, most importantly, thank you for watching. And just hope you have a wonderful, safe, and productive day. And we will see you again tomorrow.
As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the sky.